In the sun-soaked suburbs of Florida, where palm trees danced in the breeze and lawns sparkled like emeralds, lay Willow Creek, a neighborhood of pristine homes governed by the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, HOA. The streets were a canvas of pastel-colored houses, uniform mailboxes, and hedges trimmed to perfection, all under the HOA's watchful eye to maintain a polished aesthetic. For Emily Harper, a 32-year-old artist with a heart brimming with creativity, Willow Creek was a dream realized, a sanctuary after years of city noise. Emily's new home was a charming bungalow with a white picket fence and a porch perfect for morning coffee. She'd spent a decade saving for this haven, where she could paint landscapes, weave baskets, and let her imagination soar. Her living room glowed with soft greens and blues, adorned with handmade decorations, woven reeds, pressed flowers, and sketches of forests. As winter approached, Emily decided to mark her first holiday season in Willow Creek with a personal touch. She ventured into the nearby woods, where pine trees stood tall, their needles blanketing the earth. There, she gathered pine cones, dried berries, holly sprigs, and bits of moss, crafting a rustic holiday wreath. With twine and care, she wove each piece into a circle of natural beauty, hanging it on her front door as a symbol of her connection to the earth and her new beginning. The next morning, as sunlight spilled across her porch, Emily found a crisp envelope in her mailbox, stamped with the HOA's logo. The letter read, "Your holiday wreath is non-approved per Section 4.2 of the Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, CC and Rs. All decorations must be pre-approved by the HOA board. Remove it within 48 hours or face a $50 fine." Emily's heart sank. It's just pine cones, she thought, rereading the letter in disbelief. The HOA's rules felt like a chain around her creativity, stifling the freedom she'd moved here to embrace. She pored over the CC and Rs, a dense booklet she'd skimmed during her home purchase. Section 4.2 vaguely required decorations to conform to community standards and be board-approved, but offered no clarity on what made a wreath approved. Frustration simmered. She'd escaped the city's chaos for peace, not a new kind of control. Emily sat on her porch, staring at her wreath, its pine cones glinting in the sunlight. She wasn't ready to take it down. Determined to fight for her wreath, Emily drove to the HOA office, a sleek glass building with a perfectly manicured hedge. Inside, she met Mrs. Clara Wentworth, the HOA president. A woman in her 50s with a tight bun, a clipboard always in hand, and a smile that never reached her eyes. "Ms. Harper," Clara said, her voice sharp as a winter wind, "your wreath doesn't comply with our aesthetic guidelines. Approved designs include red ribbons, gold ornaments, and a 24-inch diameter. Yours is unconventional." "It's handmade," Emily replied, her voice steady despite her nerves. "It's natural, sustainable. Why is that a problem?" Clara's smile tightened. "Rules ensure uniformity, which protects property values. Individuality leads to chaos. Remove the wreath, or the fines will escalate to $25 daily after the initial $50. Emily's cheeks flushed. "You're fining me for pine cones? That's absurd." "Rules are rules," Clara said, turning back to her clipboard. "Compliance is non-negotiable." Emily left, her mind racing. This wasn't just about a wreath. It was about her right to belong, to express herself in her own home. That evening, she knocked on her neighbor's door. Mr. Rajesh Patel, a retired engineer with warm eyes and a gentle laugh, invited her in for chai. "They fined me last year for a Diwali lantern," he said, shaking his head. "It was too colorful." The Patels had lived in Willow Creek for a decade, yet still felt like outsiders. "The HOA means well, but they're rigid." "Be careful, Emily." Mr. Patel nodded. "You're not alone. Others feel trapped by these rules too." Mrs. Lopez down the street got fined for her son's chalk drawings. They called it graffiti. His words planted a seed. If others felt the same, maybe she could rally them. But first, she needed to understand the HOA's power. The 48-hour deadline passed, and Emily kept her wreath up, defiant. Another letter arrived. A $50 fine, with daily penalties of $25. Emily dove into research, scouring Florida HOA laws online. She learned that under Florida statutes, HOAs could impose fines but required a hearing with a 14-day notice, and rules couldn't be arbitrary. The CC&R's vagueness about approved decorations was a potential loophole. Her wreath wasn't breaking a clear rule. It was simply different. Emily decided to fight back, not with anger, but with creativity. She invited her neighbors to a crafting night at her home, offering to teach them how to make pinecone wreaths. To her surprise, a dozen showed up. Mrs. Maria Lopez, a single mom with tired but kind eyes, brought her teenage son, Tim, who loved design. Mrs. Chen, a quiet gardener, arrived with dried flowers from her backyard. Mr. Patel brought his granddaughter, Lila, a bright 10-year-old eager to learn. They gathered around Emily's dining table, the room filled with laughter, the scent of pine, and the clink of hot cocoa mugs. They shared stories, Maria's struggles to fit in, Tim's dream of art school, Mrs. Chen's love for her wild garden. Each crafted a unique wreath, some with ribbons, others with shells, feathers, or moss. By night's end, 12 homes displayed pinecone wreaths, a silent rebellion against the HOA's rules. The next morning, Clara drove through Willow Creek in her golf cart, clipboard in hand. Her face reddened as she spotted the wreaths, their earthy tones standing out against the neighborhood's uniformity. Notices flooded mailboxes, fining each household $50. But the community buzzed with excitement. Neighbors who'd barely spoken now waved, exchanged smiles, and admired each other's wreaths. Emily felt a surge of hope. This was bigger than her wreath. It was about freedom, creativity, and community. The HOA called an emergency meeting to address what Clara dubbed the wreath violation epidemic. Emily, now the reluctant leader of this quiet rebellion, prepared to face the board. She studied Florida's HOA laws further, learning homeowners could request financial records and challenge fines. She rallied her neighbors to attend the meeting at the community center, a modern hall with rows of chairs and a polished podium. The room was packed, the air thick with tension. Clara stood at the podium, her voice icy. "These unapproved decorations disrupt Willow Creek's aesthetic harmony," she declared. "Fines will continue until compliance is achieved." Emily stood, her heart pounding but her voice clear. "Our wreaths celebrate individuality and sustainability. The CC&Rs don't define approved decorations. Florida law requires clear rules and fair hearings. We deserve a voice." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mr. Patel rose, his voice steady. "Last year, I was fined for a Diwali lantern. It made me feel unwelcome in my own home." Mrs. Lopez added, "My son Tim made our wreath. It's his art. Why punish that?" Tim, nervous but brave, stood. "We just want to feel like this is our home." Other neighbors spoke. Mrs. Chen about her garden, Mr. Thompson about his fine holiday lights. The room buzzed with shared frustration. Clara faltered, her clipboard trembling. "The board will review your case," she said, her voice tight. "You'll hear our decision within a week." Days later, the board upheld the fines but offered a compromise. Submit wreath designs for approval. Emily saw this as a half-victory but sensed a deeper issue. She requested the HOA's financial records, as allowed by Florida law. The records revealed a shocking truth. Fines were a major revenue source, funding Clara's pet projects, an oversized entrance sign, lavish board retreats, and even a personal landscaping upgrade for her home. The HOA wasn't just enforcing rules, it was profiting from control. Emily shared the findings with her neighbors at another crafting night. The dining table was crowded again, now with more faces, Mr. Thompson, the Wilsons, even shy Mrs. Nguyen. Outrage spread. "They're fining us to fund their luxuries?" Maria exclaimed. Tim suggested a petition to amend the CC&Rs, demanding transparency and fairer rules. Lila, Mr. Patel's granddaughter, designed flyers to spread the word. They held more crafting nights, turning defiance into celebration. Children painted rocks, elders shared stories, and Willow Creek felt alive with connection. At the next HOA meeting, they presented their petition, backed by signatures from 60% of the neighborhood. Clara resisted, citing tradition, But the community's unity was unshakable. A vote was held, electing new board members, Mr. Patel, Mrs. Lopez, and Mr. Thompson. The CC&Rs were revised to allow creative freedom, with clear guidelines for decorations and a cap on fines. Winter deepened, and Willow Creek bloomed with diversity. Pinecone wreaths, colorful lanterns, handmade ornaments, and painted rocks adorned homes, each reflecting its owner's spirit. The fines were waived, and neighbors became friends, hosting potlucks and garden parties. Clara stepped down as president, admitting her strictness stemmed from a misguided desire to protect property values after a past community's decline. Emily forgave her, understanding that truth, when faced with courage, could heal divisions. Emily's wreath hung proudly, a symbol of resilience. Willow Creek became a place where rules balanced creativity and community thrived. Children played freely, elders shared wisdom, and every door told a story. Moral: standing up to unfair rules with courage, unity, and truth can transform a community and reclaim the freedom to be yourself.
Subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for new updates.